Your Destiny build looks like shit, or at least it looks boring and worse than it can. I'm sick of people running around in all pieces from the same set, slapping a single shader on everything and calling it a day, absolutely losing all detail in one's look or being a downright eyesore. It can't be that our crayon-eating Titan friends are the most creative and unique with their colorful builds. If you were to watch any YouTuber that created Destiny builds, they slap on one shader throughout for the entire armor and don't waste a second thought. That is probably because they want to pump out as many videos as possible, and taking your time with coloring is actually pretty time consuming. So the most interesting videos of these YouTubers are actually the ones where they showcase sets of members from their community, where they are just leeching off the time from them. However, I am here to guide you through a process on how your builds can look absolutely smashing and shine throughout the game, because only destructive criticism is worthless. Then I will show you a few of my sets and give you a bit of my thought process behind them to give you some shader combinations which work exceptionally well together. Since I'm mostly focusing on shaders, let's explain them first. Every shader is made out of 5 colors. There is the primary metal color, the accent metal color, the primary cloth color, and the accent cloth color. However, these are just loose terms. It heavily depends on the armor piece you are wearing. The same shader might have a large black portion on his piece, and another, the secondary color, takes up more space. That is why the step 2 will become more important. The last one, not seen, is the energy signature color, which changes the light effects on armor pieces. However, just picking colors that look similar will most likely not work at all, since there is also a texture to it, like worn, bloody, or some animation effects, and even worse, depends on the armor piece you are rocking. See, this piece had a silver arm guard, even though silver is neither the primary nor the accent color of the shader. And it still changes when changing the shader. There are also armor pieces, mostly exotics, with parts that never change their color, like the white snake on the standard ornament of the Liar's Handshake. So in the most places, you want to create a build around the exotic you are using. The first step is picking that exotic and then look at which shader fits it well. Afterwards, you color your whole outfit in the same color, which is basic and allows you to see the different colors and which parts of the armor is colored in what way. So you probably won't use Bitter Pearl. I prefer to use Smudge Pop Bruise, Grand Luster, Lawful Neutral, or even Jacarina. However, there are many more. With these shaders you can differentiate between the different parts of the armor pieces and what colors are the same color and what colors are which way. With that shader you then start assembling your set, deciding which piece you want to wear, looking at the details and if they fit together. Also, keep a few options in mind, maybe other pieces fit better with different colors. And now towards step 3, the actual coloring of your set. You obviously could just slap one shader you decided on in step 1. However, your set will most likely look like shit, and you lose all the detail. Sometimes it looks okay, but trust me, it can always look better. Let me give you an example. I wanted to create a ghostly reaper for my Caliban Sand last season, and decided on Boreal Char for the arms, because it gave the knives a ghostly look. And I decided on the same reaper helmet and the burned cloak to make it look more ragged and from the underworld. Some people might say just throw on one shader that makes you look dark. However, you lose detail with that. Let me explain. If I were to throw on Boreal Char on everything, you would see that there is way too much green. Also, the burnt cloak has a big white part that does not shade at all, so I have to incorporate that while still keeping the overall black tone to it. Also, I need to lose the big red skull somehow. For this I had a few options, and I picked Queen's colors because it turns the skull silver and the big chin part black, which merges with the rest of the build and makes it nearly invisible, which then gives the skull a little floating look. The chest piece had a lot of cloth to it, so I needed something that turns the cloth as well as the metal black while keeping the accents light in order to match the knives and the cloak. So for the legs and the chest I decided on Amethyst Whale, and now I have a much better, even though still black set, which incorporates all these beautiful details of my armor pieces. And as you can see, the green on the arms is barely noticeable, and if at all, only adds to the depth of that skin. With that process, I created countless builds. The first one of that kind came from my Omnioculus. I really wanted to double down on the eyes things, so I decided for a spider-like creature and wanted to accentuate the eyes. I also noticed that Omnioculus itself is a very chunky exotic, so I paired that with the fitting arms and legs. The arms had these spikes that would not color, however I was lucky since I decided on more earthy colors anyway. I really loved Horizons Beyond and it matches well with the Abyssinian Gold, Lawful Neutral and even Vitrified Chronology due to the brown and blue nature. However, on the arms I choose Amethyst Whale because the blue cloth perfectly fit the cloth for the rest. The next two sets are very similar since I wanted to use the original colors of the exotic. Even though on the second one I opted to change it to Mercurian Sunrise to get rid of the brown leather on the boots. The first one is much more interesting because I wanted it to look like an overgrown golem who just woke up from its deep slumber. The Tekeli Li already had that stone color to them, so I just needed to use other pieces that fit. The chest piece also had the stone texture which would not color, so I made the rest black instead. The real coloring depends on the belt, which is the center part of that piece, and I wanted to match the energy of the belt to the same as the top piece. The rest needed to be green and overgrown, so Biolume was the perfect fit due to its stone-like texture on metal. It also didn't use the Biolume on the chest piece since the belt buckle would be in secondary metal color, which was that shining blue that would not have fit in such a central location. Another one of my builds that I really like also takes the gameplay aspects into account. It was a stasis build with the god-awful looking renewal grasps. So I wanted the cold blue highlights. I aimed for a dystopian style looking Robocop heavily inspired by Detroit Become Human. I also used the shader Coastal Suede due to its black metal and blue accents. However, it also has this sand-colored cloth accents, which would not fit the build at all. However, to the pieces chosen, the only part where that would be visible is hidden inside the shoulders, which made this build work. My last set for this video will be one of the sets I made for Arc 3.0, where I could finally incorporate one of my favorite colors again, dark purple and blue and bronze. My other favorite combination might be the dark bronze and red and blue of one of my old builds, so Mercurian and Dreaming Cast make a super combo as well. However, this build uses Dreaming Cast, Dusted Tone, Horizons Beyond and Vitrified Chronology for its beautiful dark brown cloth. The accents are all in the same color range, and the metals and leathers add themselves really well. All in all, I looked for a nightlight look, since there was some chainmail underneath the arms. I would also love to show you my newest build, which focuses on the Gerfalcons. However, it is currently deactivated. I still hope this video helps you people look less shitty in the future, and please think about your coloring. Give me some feedback in the comments, and maybe, if anybody even watches this, since I'm small, I'm able to discuss this with everyone in the comments. When you're wondering how I have one maxed out build for most of the exotics I like to use, with no armor piece belonging to two builds at the same time, I have around 400 armor pieces in my vault with good stats, which I then choose to have stats for a certain exotic. If you are interested, I currently have 12 different builds for 12 different exotics that I can still show off.